Hello everybody, it's Friday night and it is time for the Weekender once again. We've another massive show for you with a myriad of medieval miniatures and mayhem and a whole tranche of Trench Crusade to boot. On top of that, we also have a £50 gift voucher from Wayland Games for one lucky commenter on this video over at OnTableTop.com. So go over there, make a free account if you haven't already, comment below the video to be in with a chance to win. Now sit back, relax, because your weekend starts here. Hello everybody and welcome to the Weekender. I'm joined this week by Justin and Ben.
Hello.
Better.
Recovered.
We've got another packed show for you.
We do, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Tons of fun for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you like toy soldiers, RPGs and board games.
Yeah, so everyone.
Things. This isn't
everyone.
For you. How do you even get here?
Anyone else is wrong and they don't count.
Somebody did say they would reach out to James May and let him know about Bricks Creek.
Oh, good.
I've no idea if they know James May or if he's just going to start getting random tweets.
Sliding into the DMs on all his socials.
Yeah. I think he's on social media as much as I am. So
probably
they may be better off just sending on a
carrier pigeon.
A carrier pigeon.
Yeah, carrier pigeon. Or tie it to a cat. To wherever he is in Hammersmith or whatever. So, yeah.
On a note, on a stone, thrown through the window of his bar. Whatever's easiest.
Yeah.
You know, it's the important thing is you get the message out there.
Well, I mean, you could send it to Clarkson's pub so that he has to turn up but can't really get in to get it because he's on the banned list.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that.
No, just make it as mildly inconvenient as possible.
I don't think he's going to pick it up then. It's not how the game is played.
Okay.
I want to make it as accessible as possible.
That's what I've been doing wrong.
Bricks. Then tie the note to it and wing it through a window. Brickception. Anyway.
Jerry, you're Northern Irish. You showing me it?
Yeah, well, other people can throw bricks through windows too. But we have a show to get on with before we kick into that. I will say, if you haven't been paying attention, you've got 1 week left. 1 week tomorrow, in fact. 1 week on Saturday. 21st of June is the last day of the Spring Clean Challenge.
Yes.
Then I'll have to start looking through the entries to put a list together with Ben.
And then a short list.
Shorter list and even shorter list.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun.
So killing your darlings.
If you've already entered, well done you. If you haven't, you're leaving it late. There's still a chance though. Get in there, squeaky bum time and all. 1 week.
You can paint an old miniature in a week. There you go.
Well, some people work well under pressure.
They do. Yeah.
It's like being back at school. Yeah. There's no point in doing things in advance. If the game is 3 months,
don't study till the night before the exam. You'll be fine.
Exactly.
You'll lose all the information otherwise.
It leaks out.
Yeah, it gets filled with other stuff.
Sherlock Holmes knew this. That's why he hated the fact somebody told him that the moon revolved around the Earth. What's that got to do with solving crimes? That's just wasted valuable space in my head, is what he told Watson.
Love it.
When they first met. Anyway, so yes, that's on. If you haven't been paying attention last week, I had a delightful chat with the lovely Philip Yates Esquire about his upcoming game, Angels 1.6. So if you want to find out a bit about the concepts of that, where it came from, and where he plans on going in the future. It's a tightly scripted 57 minutes. That's good for me.
It is.
That is good.
I will say, my absolute favorite thing from what I'm seeing of this game so far, everything is baked into that control board.
Yes.
Everything you need
Even
to
the
know.
turn sequence.
Yes.
Love it.
You literally just read your control panel left to right, and that tells you what you should be doing when, which is good because when I read through the PDF for the first time, I'm looking at the turn sequence, and the turn sequence is like set power, maneuver, fire, turn, bank, fire, maneuver, power, and I'm just going, what is going on? I couldn't, it's a 13-step process. And you go, this is madness. And then you look at the actual dashboard and you're just going, I've got
left to right,
I've got 4 to spend. I need to shoot him first. So I'm going to put points into that shoot, and then I'm going to move, and then I'm going to bank. And then I've run out of points.
This is one that I am dying to play.
Yeah. So yes, I think it's due to hit some form of crowdfunder or Kickstarter later this year. They've been playtesting it extensively in New Zealand, and people have been enjoying it immensely. So yeah,
we know what has to happen. Phil has to get on a plane again.
Does he? But is he not like BA? Not getting in no plane with no,
he has came to visit us before, so we know he's willing.
But only because he was drugged with his milk and then tied up in the back of a van by the other members of the Battlefront team.
I think your storylines might be getting crossed over here, Jerry.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it was exactly like this. And then JP smoked a cigar. It was great. Fired a chrome-plated Kalashnikov into the air. It was good.
Yeah. He loved it when that plan came together, apparently.
Yeah, 100%. So anyway, if you haven't seen that, just go and have a look at that.
Very fun
company while you're painting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, that's enough from us. It's time to take a look at some news.
Coming to you from the center of Northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
All right, then. We are going to be kicking things off with some news from Victrix about their collaboration with Noodle. What? What's that smile for? The game of pillage, ransacking,
and everything else
all of those other things. Yes. So this is the first English translation of Noodle Wargames' French Pillage. The book has just come back from the printers. I've seen that this week in the site. So Victrix have been letting people know a bit more about what's coming. And the first things they've teased us with are some renders of upcoming plastiques. So these are going to be fascinating. They're going to be similar to how they did Clash of Katanas, where you're going to get multiple sprues in a box to allow you to build a war band. So I expect these will then hit the shelves in a lovely Victrix bag down the line if you're not playing Pillage and want more. Because the sort of miniature count for Pillage is relatively small, sort of Saga-esque in size, 15 to 30 sort of figures. But the first set is Scots/Picts. Couple of different sprues or frames or whatever you want to call them in this set. One has the archer/Pictish crossbows, and then the other is your warriors that are mostly spear and sometimes axes. I imagine for the Picts, they were fond of those weird shaped axes. So as you can imagine, it will be a fairly bulky frame stuffed filled with all the weapons you need, and then a variety of shields. As is their wont, the lovely H and rectangular shields for the Picts, the filthy round ones for the Scots, depending on what you're doing, and obviously bows for the Scots. But as you can see already, some really nice detail, a lot of the frayed capage going on as well.
I am loving the bow design where he's actually holding spare arrows to the front.
It's cool.
That's not something you see too often.
They've been doing it for a little while now with their own sets, so. So yeah, it's a nice
touch. Yeah,
and generally with that, if they follow the same layout as they've done with the other stuff like the late Roman and Norman and stuff like that, then that arm is in piece, and then the hand and bow is separate. So you can do it with a bow without the arrows or with a bow with the arrows. So you've got options when you build, and I can't see them changing that formula. It works really well just to be able to put together a lot of, similar body styles without them looking repetitive.
And then if you want to make him look like a gangster, you can have him so he's holding his bow
firing his bow side on.
Yeah, like a gack.
Interesting. The arrow is sitting on the outside over the hand.
Yes.
Instead of inside over the knuckles. Would they have actually shot like that? I don't know. So
whatever way gets it away from you.
Message sent.
It's it makes no odds.
No, fair.
You knock it correctly, that you're not going to hit yourself with the fletchings on the way past you're flying. The other thing is the Carolingians.
Yeah, fancy pants boys.
Heavily armored.
Oh, aren't they though? Frankish types.
Yeah.
This is nice because we've not... Carolingians get the short end of the stick. I feel they're often included in other rule sets like Saga, for example. But then laying your hands on decent Carolingian models is a bit tricky. Presumably this will be a dual box set as well, although they haven't said for certain, because there's also the Merovingians in the Frankish areas.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much of a difference you will find in styles of weaponry there, but because Pillage is set post Lindisfarne, so 1798, by that stage, Big Charlie is already out and about kicking the shit out of people. Sorry, Charlemagne,
Big Charlie is his name now.
So he came to power in 1770 or 1771. So he's already got 20 odd years of expansionist on the go from the very small Carolingian Empire to the absolutely domineering, I own all of France, all of Germany, most of Austria, half of Italy, and everything else in between. Is that Russia, you say? I'm so close. So very close. So really nice looking figures on these.
Yeah, I think they said they're going to do, so this will be the armoured set that they're working on.
Yes.
And then they'll do what they classically do. They'll do an unarmoured version of the Carolingians
for your
as well.
bog standard scumbags. Yeah.
And there'll always be those. One of the things that's really nice about the Victrix sets is that you always get the stuff in there to make character figures anyway. So you could go away and get stuff in metal or whatever, but I quite like the idea of just building everything out of the one set, to be honest. So
that's it. These are 2 of 4 boxes that they're going to release initially. Now, obviously, they've done Vikings and Saxons up the wazoo. If they're not a box, I'll eat my hat.
Yeah, I think they're still considered a mystery on the Pillage website, but I would imagine that we're going to have Saxons and Vikings be 2 of the core boxes. So
yeah, one does seem to follow.
Yeah,
and then probably Irish.
Yeah,
I don't know if Irish/Welsh could come over. If we have a wee look-see. Like I say, the book is already up. By the time you're watching this, we'll know what those boxes are because they all go for pre-orders today.
This weekend. Yeah.
So we'll have it out there. But the idea is, it's not your big set piece battles. It is the raids that occurred so frequently when monks would spontaneously combust and then Vikings would rescue
unexplained fires.
Gold. Yeah. And the set, like I say, is based on a French rule set that started off as a club rule set, and then was published and now translated into English. I think initially it was their take on the Lord of the Rings strategy battle game.
Oh, right. That's cool.
So if you've played that, you'll see certain things like the 4-up rules and stuff coming through because they started with that, and then over time it adapted into their own rule set. Yeah. But that was the core genesis of it.
Yeah. So hang on, 7 Western factions.
Yes.
So Vikings, Franks, Anglo-Saxons, Normans, Britons, Welsh, and Irish. Yep.
Yes. So, like I say, the fact that Irish is bracketing, including Picts and Scots, I don't know if that means, because then they need to add other stuff in to make those Irish.
That's true.
I think the Pict/Scots box works well together. There is a bit of bleed over. Like I say, I'm not sure if Welsh-Irish would probably be a good set to try and cross-fertilize.
Yeah, my thinking would be they'd do Vikings and Anglo-Saxons as 2 of the boxes, Normans as the 3rd, and then do something like Picts and Scots, because they've already been working on those anyway. It would be nice to have something a little bit different in the mix, opposed to all the kind of like 3 major powers from that period. So, yeah. But we shall see, I suppose.
Yeah. Time will tell. There's a bit about the mechanicals and stuff there as well, if you're interested, including things like it's somewhat asymmetric in that the equipment for your list building does not cost the same across all the factions. Irish, for prime example, didn't see much in the way of armor, unless you were very, very wealthy and right up there. So therefore, chainmail coat will cost much more than it would cost for a Norman or a Viking, who were sort of more heavily armored most of the time, or it was more prevalent, things like that. So I'm fascinated to see how it goes.
I'm seeing in the mechanics here, you can do naval battles, but also set fires that can spread. I like the idea of that, but it's not just, this building is now on fire. Oh no, but that's not how fire works.
Get your cotton wool at the ready with little lights. And
don't build your houses too close together.
No.
This was announced in the group yesterday, which Ben hasn't seen yet, so I thought I'd show you. One of the things they've been working on, as they mentioned here, 4 plastic army box sets are coming. Blah blah blah, and we also have a whole set of boxes to complement it. And one of the first they've done is plastic animals, which I really love because they've gone to the extent of going, okay, what are we going to do for the animals? So they've gone in and researched specific ones. So those are Scottish breed of cow, a Highland breed, rugged type that they would have in that area. The sheep is a variety brought over by the Romans.
Oh.
So it's relatively recent, only the past 700 years or whatever, but a more ancient breed than we would see today. The Piglies obviously look more like wild boar. They found a group who are attempting to retrobreed something to a more native pig in England, a farm where they're crossbreeding to bring these things back. Went, that's great. Took pictures of those. Let's make mummy, daddy, and little baby.
Love it.
I wonder how they taste.
Like pigs. The goats are that is a native. I say native, 3,000 years, so relatively native breed from the British Isles. Smaller, but ibex-like in its.
I was going to say just as devastating when it charges you. So.
And then the horse is a Breton-style horse, more like a shire horse, a big, chunky monkey for doing farm work and stuff. What isn't pictured here and what will be coming are ducks, geese, and a donkey, and possibly chicks.
So they are working on can literally steal the entire farmyard.
Yes, and for a game like Pillage, which is obviously Saga a lot of the time, because it's probably the best go-to for being comparative in scale. There are a few, but not many, scenarios where you have to go and get something in particular and spirit it off. However, with Pillage, it is part and parcel. One army, one faction, one nation, one group, whatever you want to call them, is attacking an area for something. They're either there to spirit off your livestock, or they're there to spirit off your people, or they're there to steal all your gold. Whatever it happens to be. So the fact that they've gone, we need a robust set of Dark Age / medieval animals to go with is great. I imagine / hope for civilians in the future.
That would be really good.
Lots of monks and stuff to be carted off. Monks and nuns to be carted off for the slave trade. It's all good in the hood, and then maybe just like boxes of gold.
It's good that they've got them being like accurate to the period rather than like just a bunch of Frisians and stuff. So it'll make your tables look way better.
It'll make my tables look fantastic, and also because I've got a few things for Border Reavers.
Oh right,
as far as cavalry goes, but I will be on that like a fly on shite to bulk up my files and livestock for future.
Lovely.
Yeah, fair.
So yes,
can't wait.
Keep an eye on that. Like I say,
sounds like it'll be good fun.
It's gone live today for pre-order. So go and have a nosy and see what's up there.
I can't wait for it, and I've already bought it. There we go.
Yeah. No, Jerry's debit card has snuck out of his wallet before he's woke up in the morning, turned on his PC, put in its details, and then tried to mash itself through the screen to go get it here now.
It's fine. It knows what it's doing.
Sentient.
Right. Sticking with peasantry.
Yes. We have something from the good folks at Medbury. So this is adjacent, and if you're not too particular about how you would match things up, we've got some historical and fantasy miniatures, including some peasantry. So first up,
peasants are revolting.
Yes, and these ones have been very lucky and been gifted a pointy stick, or perhaps had to buy one off the local lord. So we're seeing a set of 6 peasants armed with spear and shield to begin with. Nice, light, no armor. You're not worth it, mate. You are there to be cannon fodder.
Pretty much. Yeah.
As well as that, we also have a peasant with a cart. So one of Jerry's favorite. Loves a good cart. And it even comes with things to put into said cart. So you have some wares.
To be stolen.
Liberated.
Or protected, yeah.
Yeah, I do like the design of the actual driver in this case, because he does kind of look a little bit monk-like.
He does it. He's got that kind of look to him, I suppose.
Yeah, he's got that sort of little bit of a friar look to him.
Yeah. Maybe like a tuck.
Well, you might have to tuck in below that cart if he gets attacked.
Yes, that's
yes,
true.
Barrels of ale. Barrels of ale. We love barrels of ale.
Could make him into a friar. You just need to sand down the back of his head to get
That's
the tonsor.
true. Yes.
Oh, yeah. The bowl cut.
Baby.
But so these two sets are coming out in June time, and I think they do look rather lovely. And there is a little bit of a mix on the actual spear stylings and stuff. So everybody's got a nice little bit of individuality. But these definitely look like maybe closer to English peasantry, I would have guessed. Yeah,
well, I think they've kind of looked to sort of throw this in with a sort of 100 Years' War period, obviously, and obviously the Barons' War and things like that, because obviously that's been going, gangbusters.
Just based on the shield design.
So, yes.
Has that.
Yeah.
But yeah, could be, your rebellious peasants, could be your peasants working alongside good old Robin Hood or something like that as well. Could be really fun.
Robin the Hood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or they've been hired on as bodyguards.
Yeah. Very meager bodyguards, but bodyguards are the same.
Hey. It's maybe a very small church. They don't have a lot of donations.
That's true.
Now, on top of that, we're also seeing some fantasy stuff as well. So we are seeing an elven king, both mounted and unmounted, and two flavors of mounted as well.
Yeah, might be familiar to some folks.
Very Tolkien-esque.
Yeah,
I can't believe it's not Tolkien. Interestingly, the Elven King is armed with twin swords, and initially I didn't see the second scabbard until I started looking a little bit closer, but it is indeed there, and he does look quite lovely. Let's see, who else do we have along with him? We have some Elven courtiers who are coming. So one delivering a message, the other one poisoning wine. Don't like the king, you got to get him somehow. Yep.
As I said in the story, if you're planning to try and escape from Mirkwood, this would probably be, and Thranduil's Halls, this would be a good set, because you've got the guard who clearly has the key, and the courtier who is bringing the wine up, who's obviously already drunk. So if you're a little tiny halfling with furry feet, and you can sneak past and let your friends out, you've got a scenario waiting to go, which is cool. So.
We also have a set of elf rangers, who are, again, very, very familiar. Even the posing is quite familiar. But they're nice, simple, clean ones that if you're needing some additional elfie ranger goodness, definitely something to pick up. We then get
skirmish.
Good for a skirmish.
Perfect. We then get some armored trolls as well.
I love these. These are so good.
Yeah, these are very familiar looking as well. It's almost uncanny.
He's about to be turned into a tube of toothpaste.
That one per dwarf who's just his only existing. Well, his only reason for existing is to be smushed and put in the pot.
Medbury did make a joke about that. They said, "This is the first dwarf we've made in a really long time, and he just happens to be a casualty." And I was like, "Oh."
Do you imagine that when he puts the weight down, it'd be like one of those Play-Doh fun factories through all the rings in the chainmail?
Yeah. Makes dwarf sausages straight out of the...
I was expecting more like, the little stress toy you get, you squeeze the body and the eyes pop out?
Oh, yeah, that too. Yeah. I love the expressions on the trolls as well. They're great. They're really
they've done a really nice job with these, and I love just how ramshackle the armor and stuff. This is how this kind of creature should look to me. I have found a spiky bit of metal. I have tied a bit of wood to it. I now has axe. Let's go.
It's as if Bill, Bert, and Tom have been given armor. They survived their encounter with Gandalf and the dwarves, and they're now out for some revenge. So,
or is them in earlier life when they were doing better and not starving around a campfire?
Yeah, that's true.
As
lastly,
Terry Pratchett once said, yes, we all know that trolls turn to stone during the day, but what happens at night? They all turn back again.
Yeah, we're after you, son.
Yeah. Well, lastly, we also get ourselves a rather lovely dragon.
Oh, yeah.
Dagron.
Yes.
That's different from the Dagron they did for the Beowulf.
Yeah, it's based on that design, but slightly different. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But again, it's nice to have more options for more creatures in your worlds that you can lay down on the tabletop. Because let's say you're using a scenario where you may have 2 dragons if you're insane. Having 2 different dragons miniatures would be nice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very true.
Overall, very lovely stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I should. I won't, but I should.
Yeah.
That, if you've got the option to put them on a moose /elk /Irish red deer, whatever it happens to be, why would you put them on a horse?
Yeah, put him on the moose. Yeah. Yeah.
He's loose about this house. He just looks so much better.
He does. He does way better. I don't understand why they put him on a horse in the theatrical cut. Anyway, I should. Is
there different versions of the film?
So in the theatrical version, they put him on a horse for reasons unknown, and then in the extended version,
they had horses.
So yeah,
I suppose, and then they went, let's.
We actually have some more CGI budget. Let's
fix that. Maybe people didn't like it.
Yeah, it should be pointed out. So these they're available on Patreon for this month, but as with a lot of the Medbury stuff, it'll eventually be available as metal over on their website, or if you're over here in the UK, the EU, etc., you'll be able to get your stuff from Infamous JT. They ship over a bunch of stuff in bulk every so often, and so you can come and get your hands on a lot of their fantasy and historical stuff, including a lot of their things for the 100 Years' War and stuff like that as well.
Genovese crossbow.
And if you're just a Johnny come lately, there is a massive amount to be checking out in for all of your medieval fantasy goodnesses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Definitely go ahead and order a lot of stuff from Jamie. Just do that. If you're at home now and you don't actually need any of this, do it anyway.
Yeah, he's probably sitting there lonely and bored.
Well, he's got elves. He wants to bring to Kickstarter. But he obviously needs the funds to get them professionally and stuff like that.
Stuff,
so I'm 100% on this. Just go to his website, buy his dwarves, buy his poles, buy the Medbury stuff. Buy stuff, buy it now. Why are you still listening to me? You can open another tab while this is on,
And
I've seen the elves. I want the elves.
But
I've got the dwarves. I want the elves.
Okay, well, we're now seeing the true reason. It's entirely selfish on Jerry's part.
Always selfish on my part. I thought this was very clear a long time ago.
But anyway. it helps to remind us. It helps to tell new people who might be watching for the first time.
There are people who think that I'm a beneficent god.
Yeah, continuous training is a requirement in this line of work.
Anyway, yes, cracking stuff there from Medbury.
Yeah, lovely.
And Infamous JT and his upcoming elves. All right. Westfalia.
So another favourite of Jerry's. Westfalia last year put together the Red Brigade Kickstarter, which was them creating a alt faction for, that sort of fit within one of the other factions, for Trench Crusade, which obviously did gangbusters over on Kickstarter as well last year. They have been expanding upon this and their collection over the last few months as part of what they call their Trench Stench collection, which I think is quite a nice term.
Yeah.
Similarly to what we saw with Medbury there, we have some amazing new stuff coming out through MyMiniFactory this time for the month of June, and this is the Cadaver core. So this is a nice selection of alternative miniatures to set alongside the Heretic Legions of Trench Crusade, including, as you can see there, an exceptionally awesome new Bomb Witch style affair, which is so cool to see indeed. The sculpting from these is just phenomenal. They call this the Phosphor Witch, by the way. Yeah. So she's a little bit she's a little bit more nasty than her compatriots. So
because they based a lot on the artwork from Trench Crusade, which obviously Trench Crusade is some amazing artwork.
Really
so they had a render done, and I think the artwork has a witch with her hands like this, and then 2 bombs vertically down above. So the render was like that. And they went, by the way, we haven't worked out how to make it actually float unless we use magnets or something. So this is just a work in progress.
Yep.
So yes, the obviously using the likes of gas and rubble and stuff in a floaty way makes sense.
You can imagine her stepping forward like a Dark Souls boss towards everybody else on the table.
Yes.
Very cool indeed.
Some poor sod pokes his head above his trench line and sees that. It's just like, no. Did I wear the brown pants today?
Yeah, we also have the Cadaver Warlock, or as some people have pointed out, oh look, Darth Vader has entered the battle. So a badass new version of a Warlock there with the sort of big nasty talons on the end of his
I'm getting more looking for group vibes.
Yes, also true.
Richard.
Yeah. There's also a bunch of other stuff that's included as part of this collection as well. So it actually turns out to be, so you've got the Cadaver Warlock alongside the Witch, as you saw there. You've also got Technomancers. These are your commandos. So this is a twist on the traditional commando that you would have got with the Heretic Legions, which is kind of a little bit more sort of like Wolfenstein-like. This one sort of goes down that kind of like techno ninja style affair, which I think is really cool to see.
A little bit Hellboyish.
Yes, a little bit. Yes, very true, actually. And then you also have things like the Anointed in there as well. So these are your heavy troops with the big shields and that kind of thing. So the sort of official one of those has the big flamethrower, but you can sort of go down the route of having big shields and all sorts of different things. So if you're looking to step away from the standard kind of starter force design for the Heretic Legions or something like that, then these are some of the options that you can go for. What's also quite nice is that this is an expansion to what already exists for the Cadaver Corps. So this is what they already have over on MyMiniFactory. So if you like the look of those and you don't necessarily want to maybe get those designs, you could always come and get some of these and add them into your force if you wanted to go down that route. If you're looking for hell dogs and nasty troopers and bomb witches and everything else in between,
Bomb witches.
You've got plenty.
You don't have to look for a bomb witch. The bomb witch will come and find you then.
It will. If you hear the whistling, run.
Even the name, it just sounds like the next Sabaton song.
Yes, it does, actually. That'd be good music to have on in the background as you were painting and then playing this game, I think. It should also be pointed out that this isn't essentially everything that Westfalia have been working on at the moment. They have a Trench Stench website, which you can go and check out. I'll put the link in the comments and stuff. But if you go over to that, you can check out some of the stuff they're previewing for next month. So July and sort of August. I think July is going to be the Children of Yggdrasil, which is them taking a look at the kind of Nordic factions that are fighting
Scandinavians
as part of this. Yeah, so that'll be very cool to see. And there's loads and loads of stuff over on their website and all that kind of thing too. So if you also want to get your hands on the Red Brigade, which were the stuff for Antioch from last year's Kickstarter, that's all now available for you to buy as STL files, so you can download and print those off. Those miniatures are stunning. And I'm sure there will also be lots of people online as merchants who will be doing 3D prints of these as well. So keep that at the same time. But yes, if you're a bit of a Trench Crusade fan, make sure to go and check out what Westfalia are doing, because they have some gorgeous alternative miniatures for you to slot in alongside the rest of your miniatures from Fortress Factory. So yeah, very cool.
Sweet like candy. All right. Enough news for now. It's time for the Indie of the Week.
Yay.
And this week we've been helped out. Because I seen some community members painting up some really nice civilians.
Oh.
Where did you get this really nice civilian from? And they went Temu. And I went, all right. Temu don't sculpt stuff. Where have Temu stolen those from? And thankfully, people managed to find out. So this week's Indie of the Week comes courtesy / sponsored by Temu, the thieving, robbing bastards.
Wow. Tell us how you really feel.
Absolute scumbags. Thieving scumbags. So, the real people that you should be looking for if you're after some incidentals and the like is over on MyMiniFactory, and they're called Tidy Furniture.
Yay.
Well done, Tidy Furniture. You're great.
I've had
IP theft good sometimes?
I've had a look through this. They have some absolutely gorgeous stuff.
Brilliant. So, what I'm going to do is scroll down via the medium of categories. And we're going to start with setting folk, because I know there's going to be one in there that Ben's going to like, possibly two. These are just little collections of people resting, drunk, tired.
Perfect.
Things you can populate your tabletop with if you've got a tavern to play around, or if you've got a church to drum through, or whatever it happens to be. However, if we come down a bit, there's a little band playing. That's quite fun. Beggars for the Street. I heard a... I'm not sure why, because I've not reached it yet. Halflings with a Friend.
Love it. Oh my God.
And a Ranger.
Oh my God. Ah.
You two should just have that, Ben.
Oh, it comes in pints.
Yes, it does.
That's so cool.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
Look at them.
Get the force perspective vibe. Set up some cameras around it and you could play crooked dice instead. So
or you can have your Stranger Danger Ranger. sitting watching them from a corner.
There's one I saw. There's actually a D&D group.
Yeah, playing
Yes.
games at their table, which is really cool. I love that.
I think you'll recognize the D&D group.
Oh,
They were in the TV series.
Yes. Some things that are strange. There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All about the upside down. So yeah, the seated thing is what it says. Obviously, your mileage will vary on this.
Is that Matt Mercer?
As to how much you can get done. But
It's certainly the right table style. Yeah.
Oh, Drunk
But if you're
Visitors is a
after,
good one.
if you're after some sitting folks, and especially for things like Blood Bowl, if you want to put some crowds in, or if you want to
Guards of
add
Traitors'
in
Toll. Yeah.
beggars for the Guards of Traitors' Toll,
Yeah.
they don't even have to be part of the game. They can just be lurking around the edges of buildings,
Yeah.
masking the joins.
A lot of people have picked up the Dungeons and Lasers Tavern stuff from Archon. And I mean, obviously they do Townfolk and all that kind of thing, but it would be nice to get some of this stuff to kind of put in there to kind of fill it out and add some characters to the place. Very cool.
Yeah. Now, this is my
If
favorite
you're
section.
going Walkery Dead,
Yep.
I thought you might like this. Yeah.
Oh, trust me, I had a good scout through this one. All those trash piles, all the bins,
Where you just go straight
all the
to
bodies and bags.
Yeah, considering you're
straight to
going
the
down
garbage
the
station.
Walking Dead route and playing through all the scenarios, this would be really fun for you, wouldn't it? So, yeah.
you can
Well,
just get the garbage collection for a all one-stop shop.
Yeah. But on top of that, we still have our old American shopping mall table
Yes,
here in the
we
studio.
do. From the foreground folk, yeah.
Yeah. So this stuff would be perfect to rebuild and repopulate and revamp it and give it a glow up.
It would, yeah.
And then obviously I would take it home because I've done a lot of work on it. Mine now.
But yeah, a lot of interesting bits and pieces in here. Again,
Gas
good for
station
populating
arcade, yeah.
things like The Walking Dead, but also for your outsides in any post-apocalyptic game. So if you want your little climbing frames and stuff,
I mean, if you want to do this for some Fallout fun as well.
Mm-hmm.
a Ripper dock shop for
Yeah.
all you fans of Cyberpunk.
Oh, I could do like a South Miami beach setup with the gym stuff.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
The outdoor gym stuff there. That'd be
Big
cool.
muscle-bound zombies running at you.
Oh dear. Dead Island 2, man. Dead Island 2.
Yeah. Oh man, there's loads of really nice detail put into these as well, which is
Yeah.
so it's not just sort of like box
Yeah.
standard, cupboards and all that kind of thing. There's lots of extra little
I mean,
bits worked
for
in.
filling, I'm trying to remember how many. I want to say there's at least 8, if not 10, room/stores in that big
Mm-hmm.
mall complex.
Yeah.
So I think it might be 4 or 5 on each side. So being able to go fill a shop with sportswear, fill a shop with
Groceries,
whatever happens
yeah.
to be, and actually have them populated, because the most important part of The Walking Dead is having enough scatter terrain around that
Zombies
walkers
just bounce off.
bounce off or get trapped. You can lure them into them, things like that.
Yeah.
Set up your bar, whatever it happens to be. Your nuclear door,
Ooh, some voltage
if you happen to be doing a bit of the old foliage. So yeah, the sci-fi / modern
Mm-hmm.
doohickeys is
Assault rifles.
is really nice, including the
Yeah.
the ability to build your actual bunkers.
Wow.
But even
No boy
a simple
fun.
survival camp, perfect.
Yeah.
All those incidentals that you could spend ages hunting down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the very first scenarios,
Mm-hmm.
The Walking Dead,
Yeah.
start off with the camp
Yeah.
in the forest.
I need to poke John and see if his 3D printer's up and running.
So yes, the modern stuff, there's a ton in there, depending what you're playing, sci-fi or futuristics.
That's
You've
a
got
great
loads.
collection. I love that.
But
Lovely.
we're going to move away from the incidentals and take a look at some of the figures they have. This is a very small one for people who want to play a bit of the old Mordheim.
Oh,
If you're after some wacky things, including a fish rider.
Mhm.
it's all the
the-
marginalia come
It's
to
all the
life.
marginalia.
Yeah.
Yes, rat on stilts, owl knight.
Plague mercenary.
Sigmar priest.
Jesus.
Very different. You understand. There's not many in here, but they are particularly
Yeah.
weird. And I'm 100% on board
That's
with
why
all
it's
of
called
them.
Sigmar Helden Ham. I get
Oh.
it now.
Yes, what you said. Look at the pig.
Wow.
Or sorry, look at the bear musketeer, like
Mhm.
with his blunderbuss.
Stick that in alongside your Kislevites. Yeah.
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 I mean, that's some Warcheck vibes.
I mean, if if you need to have more for the Kislevites, there are actually some other bits and pieces.
Why is there a rat on stilts?
Why would there not be a
Because
rat
the
on
Skaven
stilts?
need to send scouts out, don't they? So, yeah.
Alternatively, have you seen what's lying around on the floor in Mordheim? You don't be walking through that. It's filthy.
Yeah,
You'll catch
well.
something.
Yeah.
It's the same reason you have an owl knight with the sword and board. But yeah, if we look at the medieval civilians, you'll see a few other things in here. And it was stuff out of this range is the stuff that people have been getting from that other place that I shall no longer name. So if you're after a ton of peasants for games like Pillage, for example, where they may be having a lovely time in the village just before the Vikings arrive, then this is the way to do it. And there's some really nice things, even for dioramas beyond gaming as well, because you get the minutiae of life in a village. You know, kids playing, I was going to say hopscotch, but it's not. You know the one I'm talking about. Leapfrog, that's the bunny. Or people hanging out the washing.
Yeah.
Or having a wedding.
I actually want
to fill the streets.
I want to play this as a moderns game, but just have it that they're fighting through a Ren fair.
Yes, you could do that. Yeah.
That could be highly amusing.
Or a LARP, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what Studio did before they sold the stuff to Highland. All their Monty Python-esque figures aren't actually medieval. They're just from a Ren fair.
Yeah. There's also there's that movement in the kind of like 28 sphere where they've been making non-combat games. And I think this kind of isn't sort of nailed on for that. I mean, maybe not the Inquisition one, but maybe the kind of like the Lumberjacks or the Apple Bobbers or things like that you could put together. I love that they're doing the dance.
They are doing the dance. Yes. That may or may not be accurate.
The medieval meme.
But also the lumberjacks outlumbering their jack. And then this.
Why did we cut down its forest?
This is why you don't mess with fairy forts.
Yeah.
They don't like it. They don't like it up them. But there's some absolutely terrific figures in there.
Again, lovely stuff for Guards of Traitor's Toll as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I think that's why at least one of the people had picked them up was for more civilians for guards. So, you can have your fight going on in the streets and all the rest.
Yeah.
And there, as I said, if you're planning on doing the Kislev thing, then you can have your gypsy with Tame Dancing Bear.
Yeah. Paul Paddington.
Yep. GW did a model like that. I've got it somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, really nice set of civilian figures.
Oh, Sleeping City Guard, of course.
Need one of those.
A child pushing a hoop with a stick down the road. It's all good. There's the peasant girl. I know at least one of them has bought her because I've seen her painted. So yeah,
need a little boy with a breeze block and a stick and a bit of old bone to be Bill Bailey in his youth from Black Books. Yeah. Hold Adventures. Hold Adventures await.
That's the way to go with it. Yeah. The way to go. But yeah, really nice pieces for medieval or, like you say, for fantasy gaming with that sort of slant to it. So Guards of Traitor's Toll is great. Yeah. Having the beggars and then having the hooligans fighting on the streets while your coppers have been sent out to find somebody stabbed somebody up, and you go, well, is he in the crowd? Is he one of the boxers? It turns out it's none of them. It's some women elsewhere. The giant mosquitoes, on the other hand, they need to do one.
Reminds me of one of the first quests in Fable. That does. So you have to defend some villagers from nasty bugs.
Run away. But even if you don't have the giant bugs, just the fact that the villagers are booking it is great. Because all you need to do is put 20 hairy Vikings over here, and you've got a reason to run. You get out, son. Get out, get the fire brigade out, and stay out. Not going to go well for any of them.
The amount of different stuff is fabulous.
Yeah, they have an artillery section. Just guns, no crew. So you'll have to crew them from somewhere else, but there's plenty of stuff in the citizenry. And they are all the classic style bombards and that sort of thing. So serpentines, a couple of organ cannons, really
late
nice
medieval
pieces
into the Renaissance.
Late medieval kits, if you're of an age, then you'll remember the big ground bombard. Grenadier had one of those as a dwarf artillery piece, which was gorgeous. and the pot de fer, pot of fire. The Bretonnians had one of those in their army list.
Did they? Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Back in the day, before they decided to take gunpowder away from them.
Is it just a massive harpoon gun, basically?
Yeah. Instead of firing a ball, a shot, like a cannon would, they just set it on fire and it would launch a massive spear / bolt.
Well, I mean, you always wonder how many different things did they try to stick down the barrel of a gun to go, well,
pretty much everything, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was only whenever they discovered the repeatability of accuracy with round things that the cannonball really stuck on at that stage.
Yeah, and then rifling became a discovered thing.
I'd appreciate a set of things from these folks. It's like a bucket of odds and ends. So when they want to just shove shrapnel down the end of a scatter shot down the end of a cannon.
Yeah,
they do have an artillery accessories pack as well, which is nice.
Yeah,
all the dead. Bring out your dead.
In fact, there are some stacked up as well. I like the hungry dogs, including one eating a hand. Again, handy if you're walking dead.
Hide behind the pile of dead bards. That's the game.
Well, unfortunately, these are dead Kniggets and sergeants.
Although they do have hash pals.
Yeah.
So, and I like the hanged persons. Everybody's got a gibbet somewhere. There's a lot of companies made gibbets because they're very easy to make in laser-cut MDF.
Nobody to hang off them.
But nobody to hang off them. Now you've got a whole slew of terrible people who all deserve to die.
And some crows to go with them as well.
Yep. Swarms of rats. You can put them into your alleyway along with all the trash bags.
Oh, the dead soldiers leaning against walls. Perfect if you're wanting to load out your dungeons.
Yes, very true. Yeah.
It's really nice. You've even got some coup beasties.
Yeah.
And covered bodies. Why would I cover them up? They've left valuable loot behind. Don't do that. So yes.
That's a really nice little selection of stuff, that. I like that.
It's a gorgeous set. Like I say, these are all...
Trap victims. I love that one.
Oh, the traps?
Yeah.
In your pile of stuff or your basket of snakes. They have one other set, which is the Heroes of Glory, which is more classical D&D fodder, I would say.
Right.
Where you can pick up monsters,
heroes,
characters, and little sort of party adventuring groups. So, I don't know if this is a specific thing. Based on the logo, I imagine Heroes Glory is something. It's something I've never heard of. Maybe I'll look into that. But you can get your hands on a whole host of characters and monsters.
Yeah, especially as they've got
presumably
like
scenarios,
like set names like Fortress, Conflicts, etc.
Yeah, if you're DM looking to build out your bestiary, go nuts.
Especially in that kind of, as you say, like old school style, sort of based on sort of older artwork from monster manuals and things. Yeah.
Fantasy role-playing game, Heroes Glory.
Well, there you go.
I must have a butcher's. There's a brass bill. Terrible. Man, can't trust them. Gnolls are the worst. But yes, a really nice collection.
It is.
We'd like to thank Temu for sponsoring that. So if you're after that stuff, get it from them.
Don't get it from Temu.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyway.
Support your local artists.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. I think we should have a look at some more news.
Even more news, bitches.
All right, then, back to the news. And Benjamin, something that we were teased with at UKGE. A touch of the battle for the planets.
Yes. So, Days of Wonder shared some fun previews of their new board game, which is based off the sort of core mechanics of Memoir 44. So, Star Wars Battle of Hoth is going to be coming out later this year, sort of August time.
A Hoth upcoming game.
Yeah. The idea is that you'll take on the role of either, I mean, this is, teaching you to suck eggs, but you'll take on the role of the rebels or the Empire.
Who are the
Kelso
rebels?
Priest.
You've intrigued me.
Yeah.
Kelso Priest.
You will be battling to secure the rebel base on Hoth from the encroaching
Rebel
forces
base is under
of the Empire.
attack.
With, as you can see, their AT-ATs and their snowtroopers going up against the rebels and their badass blaster towers and their snow speeders and everything else in between. Now,
They were having
Initially-
difficulty adapting those to the cold weather, you know.
Yeah. He says he's got it.
Go back.
Now, initially, I looked at this and I thought, "Oh, that's a cool idea," but sure, this is just going to be like a one and done type thing. Like
Yes.
we see the battle played out in the movie,
Mm.
and it's sort of over in half an hour, 45 minutes or whatever.
Whoops.
But what they've done with this is they've actually dived in and they've turned this into a sort of like campaign style game.
Yes.
So essentially what happens is you play through a series of linked scenarios rather than it just being one battle that you essentially repeat endlessly,
Mm.
which will have different objectives, different things that you're trying to do. Because even though the Battle of Hoth plays out in the movie within, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever it is, in actuality, there's lots of smaller incidental conflicts happening there at the same time, like going for the shield generators, sending the snowspeeders out to try and take down the AT-ATs and all that kind of thing. And they've sort of built that into a series of linked games where rather than in Memoir 44, where it was essentially you played a battle and then that was kind of like a tick in the win column,
Mhm.
the effect of one fight will then flow into the next
Yeah.
one. So if you succeed in your battle against the Empire in scenario 1, that will give you a benefit when you go into playing scenario 2, and so on and so on.
Release
And this was the
one
version
was-
of the game that I could never find.
We couldn't find it. It was right by that. There's the bus.
The big bus. It was next to the bus. Of all places, of course, it was next to the bus.
So over
we
there,
go.
but they told me that, and I walked past this, and this was not on the table
Yeah.
when I walked past it in the morning. So they
God
must have
damn it.
taken it
You're
away to stop
hiding it
people
from us?
thieving
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming
That's
this
a
is
regular
the
version.
yeah,
over
this is
there.
an bigulated version.
That's
And they
the
brought in
big
big. They even brought big dice.
They
big
did.
chunky
Oh,
dice.
So good.
Yeah, it's a fascinating looking thing because
Yeah.
what little information there is out there. Yes, there's the campaign, but it also
Yes.
says there's 17 scenarios in the book. You don't
Mhm.
have to play the campaign, so you can
No.
just pick up and play.
Yeah.
And there are characters that you can drop in as well.
So they've one of the things that sort of changes from Memoir 44 is that with that, obviously you're playing a World War II game where a lot of the focus is on the individual infantry units, the tanks, the combined arm element of that. You have all of that in Battle of Hoth, but in addition, you have heroes, obviously, because you got Luke, you got Leia, all these other characters. You've got Veers for the other side, of course, and then Vader later on.
Yes.
Um,
To Donna.
all of those can sort of be added into the gameplay loop. So it's not just Memoir 44 with blasters. It's actually Star Wars version of that, and sort of playing around with the command and colors idea and the Memoir 44 mechanics do something a little bit different. You also, because it's a campaign game, they've also added in, from looking at a couple of people who are able to have demos and stuff of the game, like one-shot campaign cards. So
Mhm.
these are things that you can use once and then they're completely gone for the rest of the time you're playing the campaign. So you
All
play
right, so
them and
you
it's
rip
like
the card.
well,
No.
you don't rip the cards. You put it back in the box nicely, and you can use
Yeah.
it next time. It's not a legacy game, but you essentially play those out, and they kind of give you like a way to change the fortunes of victory in your favor and that kind of stuff as well at the same time. So it seems like a really nice idea. I'd assume if this goes well, we might see them do some other fun things with this. I mean, you could do the Battle of Geonosia, you could
Endor.
do Kashyyyk, you can all sorts of
Well,
different
that's
things.
it. They could
So,
go ham in the Clone Wars because we never really seen.
Yeah.
Well, we've seen about 5
Mhm.
wars in the Clone Wars, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of room to expand in there.
Yeah,
For
different
people who
agents.
haven't played the Command and Colors games, it's a relatively simple system.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
you deal out a hand of cards to yourself in a turn. And then depending on what you have is what activates. So
Mhm.
you don't have full access to everything every turn. And you can see there, order 3 units of your choice. They can't move, but they gain an additional die for firing for your defensive position. So that could be your 3 laser towers shooting at the AT-ATs, or it could be 3 of the stands of men firing at somebody else. So you can play around with that quite a bit. It's a very quick and simple system to pick up.
Yeah.
And then they use, like we can see there, the big chunky dice, wham, with symbolisms on them.
Mhm.
So there's a little stat card. You can see one there showing what roles do what to who.
Mhm.
But it's a very quick and intuitive game for players to pick up, but there's a lot of fun to be had with the sort of the depth and the strategy of it, and the fact that you can play 17 scenarios
Yeah.
individually, and then you could play those 17 scenarios with the heroes, because the heroes aren't
Yeah.
part of it. You can go, I'll put a hero in. You can play through the entire campaign with Luke I have no idea who the heroes are because they haven't said, but we'll assume Luke is one of them.
You'd assume Luke, Leia,
You'd assume it's not going to be Akbar, Dodonna, and Ralph.
Mothma.
Yeah. Oh, I would play Mothma.
Yeah.
Mom was great. Anyway,
so you can
play the individual campaign with any of the heroes dropped in or dropped out, and it should theoretically change how the game plays within that because of what those heroes are bringing to the table. So yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I've got a couple of the memoir style command games anyway.
They're great fun games.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if some of the people who were demoing those games kind of snuck away some of those figures, because my god, they look cool. I would love one of those AT-ATs. Just sneak away with it from the.
I mean, Ben, you can do anything you want on your last day of work, but
that's true.
If you ever want to be back volunteering again, I think they might have said, "Look, if any of these disappear, you're all on the hook for it."
That's probably why we couldn't find it. People kept telling us to go and see it. And we went around
every last piece.
Yeah.
Well, I think they just took it down at night, which meant we couldn't find where it was going to be during the show to actually then get to them to talk to them during the show because they'd squirreled them all away.
Also, I think by that
everything
point,
else you're walking around going, "Oh, that's there. We'll come back and speak to them."
Yeah. I think by that point, Robert got tired of me talking about Star Wars on camera.
I don't think so. Why would anybody get tired of you talking about Star Wars? We've not discussed Andor yet on camera. We just tell you what, the next 3/4 of an hour is just going to be Andor season 2.
Oh, wow.
It was great. It was amazing. Oh, it was so good. Anyway.
I have finally started watching it. I'm through episode 1. It seems interesting.
It seems interesting.
I'm only through episode 1.
Best Star Wars.
So it has captured my interest. I will continue and I will report back.
Good.
You know what it is? You know the way they released the film, what was it called? How Han Solo got his staff.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's what that wanted to be, but wasn't.
Okay.
Because they just condensed it down into a 2-hour movie of how he got his stuff. Whereas this is actually a film about how Andor becomes to be an Andor. Okay. He was great. Yeah. It's great. It's all good. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. You can borrow it off the internet.
Sponsored by Temu? I
don't know. Right. Sticking with sci-fi. Sticking with classic 70s sci-fi. Like the kids all love, but possibly not one that many people are aware of. Do you know where these come from, Ben?
No idea.
No.
I just knew that I knew that they were 70s, 80s inspired, and I knew that there was a game based around it as well that they'd created, but that was it. So.
Okay. Because I found out about these guys from a comment they will be in India at some point anyway, I imagine. But I think the end of last year we were talking about Crooked Dice.
We were, yes.
And somebody, I want to say it was possibly Admiral Landy, in the comments went, "Did you know that one of the original sculptors for Crooked Dice sold his stuff? He'd sculpted 2 Crooked Dice and then went and started his own company called Beast in the Broch, which has got nothing to do with Fugu making me a Broch. And he's no longer making miniatures. So I'm never getting that Broch from Fugu. So that's disappointing. But anyway, Beast in the Broch is a little home for a whole host of 28mm metal sci-fi figures inspired by a variety of games. These delightful renders and metals for the Rebels. If anybody has watched the magnificent Blake 7, these are the rebel resistant group from Blake 7.
Right.
These are the guys who go up against FedSec and the Terran Empire, who are absolute scumbags. Yeah. So if you are looking to get on the table and replay Blake 7, you should. If you're unaware of what Blake 7 is, all of it is on YouTube.
Oh, very nice.
And it's long. Every episode's like an hour. It's classic 70s sci-fi. They're all like an hour long. There was like 12 or 13 episodes per season, and there was 4 seasons.
Wow.
So it's great. It's a dystopian, grim sci-fi. The Terran Empire is using mind-bending drugs and stuff. People who try and rebel against the system are taken and brainwashed and then put back out in the public. telling everybody how great everything is in an Orwellian 1984 style. Blake is one of these. He was a charismatic leader of the resistance, got captured, got mind wiped and brainwashed, and then pushed back out in front of the public to tell everybody how great fascism is. So it starts with him sort of slowly regaining his memory and becoming part of the resistance again. These guys are essentially the army that gets sort of formed over time.
Right.
And the figures themselves, they've got the classic guns that you will see in some of the episodes. So the resistance becomes more like the Rebel Alliance in Star Wars. You've got your heroes. Blake 7 is the crew of the Falcon. And then you've got your dungers who run out there onto Hoth to get shot, or more likely a quarry in North Wales.
Yes.
Which is where a lot of the stuff was filmed.
Color me intrigued.
It's a fantastic series. And yeah, some of the effects are a bit janky, but I think they hold up better than a lot of Doctor Who. The ship, the Liberator, is absolutely gorgeous as well. And there's some really good characters, and Blake is the worst character, and I hate that the series named after him. Dave on 7.
This has actually also reminded me of an old one I remember from when I was a kid. Land of the Giants, if you remember it.
I do remember Land of the Giants, where some Americans end up in what appears to be 1950s giant America.
Yeah.
It's very peculiar.
The borrower is done different.
Yeah, Beast of the Broch. They've got this FFF down at safe. PDF. This is a work in progress rule set, so it may get updated and tweaks in the future. But it is a sci-fi skirmish game for recreating the style of TV show / space battles on the tabletop, including your event cards and that sort of thing as well. And there's also the Doctor Who miniatures game, which is similar but distinctly different. This is a unofficial fan-produced one. As you imagine, they do some models that would work quite well for that. I'd love to go into loads of this. We will do this as an Indie of the Week. This might be next week's Indie of the Week.
There we go.
If you are looking for stuff, though, there is the big dashing turncoat. He came in to replace the filthy Blake. Where's filthy Blake? Come on. Oh, there he is. I want to give you spoilers, but I'm not going to. There's Blake. Being an absolute scumbag.
I think it's been out long enough, Jerry, that if you get spoilers, it's kind of your own damn fault.
No, I've just told people to go and watch it. It came out in like the late 70s.
I never saw it, you see.
A lot of people will never have seen this. And a lot of foreigners, Americans, and probably had never heard of Blake 7. It is a grim dystopian sci-fi, and I really like the fact that Beast and the Broch have done the characters and have done the Rebel Resistance group as well with all their weapons. So,
and you can get FedSec as well. So
you can get FedSec. You can get the president of the Terran Federation, Voucher and stuff. So all the characters are there if you want to play it out. And if you don't know anything about it and you just want sci-fi generic dungers for games like Stargrave, where you need federal troopers or space scumbags or whatever for some of the scenarios, they have a very uniform look, while they're generic enough that you can paint them up on how you want to. Although if you are going to go for actual rebels from Blake's, then shadowy grey and brown is the order of the day for their uniforms. Things that blend in well in a quarry in North Wales.
Yeah, nice affordable stuff for for a BBC budget back in the 70s.
Very much so. Very much so. But yeah, it's absolutely cracking. I'm curious about the rule set as well. £6. I'll probably pick that up later on and then bitterly complain about having to try and read a PDF on a screen.
I think they said it was tied to the mechanics of the Doctor Who game to begin with or something, and now it's become its own,
its own thing.
Separate thing. So,
well, maybe next week we do it as the Indie of the Week, which gives me a chance to buy them and read the rules, and then I can
order the minis. I think about painting the minis. Never paint the minis.
Yeah, but we can look at the minis on screen, but it's very difficult to look at the cover of a rule set and tell people about the rule set. Whereas if I've got a run up at it, there's a better chance that I'll know what I'm talking about. So yeah. And if we forget between now and next week, then next week's Indie will be something entirely different.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And you can remind us in the comments that we forgot. Yeah,
so I thought you said ... And I'll go, did I?
Speaking of
had I been drinking? Who knows?
Speaking of old things, I felt really, really old this week.
Yes.
So I was in the gaming store. Family came in, bought some stuff. And when they left, they actually lost a little paintbrush set. So they called the store. I then proceeded to find said paint set outside. Didn't have the number. So I had to do something that no one has probably done in years. I used 1471 on the landline. And I was like, I forgot that was a thing until I actually needed it. Wow. I feel old.
I do it all the time. Anytime I get a random call through.
Jerry calls them back angrily.
Yeah. Who are you? Why are you phoning me up? No, Timu, I don't want any of your stolen goods.
Oh, that's the cover.
Right. One last piece of news.
Yes.
Coming from another independent small company.
Yeah. From a small company in Nottingham that I don't think many people have heard of.
Yeah.
Gams Wax Shop or something, I don't know. They are doing a new set of releases for the new edition of, the newest edition of Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and this is for the Blades of Khorne. And in typical style, we don't seem to be getting lots of new miniatures for a variety of the factions. We tend to just be getting one or two. And I must say, we've got quite a nice new miniature, I think, for the Blades of Khorne, in the form of the Deathbringer.
Shield is very stabby.
I think it's the expressionless mask.
Yes.
Looks quite nice. I think they should do more of those. Yeah,
the helmet style, the big horns as well attached to it. It's very Frazetta, which I think a lot of people quite enjoy, obviously, and the name Deathbringer sort of has connotations, obviously.
It's a little bit Mad Max, looking like Master Blaster.
Yeah. The other thing I quite like about it as well is that we've seen a lot of Khorne characters that they've done for the Blades of Khorne, as they were kind of like the other big faction alongside the Stormcast that came out when Age of Sigmar released, where they were very larger than life and they had lots of chains and twirling things and they were like half demon, half man and all that kind of stuff. This is slightly more, I'd say much more understated in terms of its design. And I know a lot of people have already considered that they're going to be sort of snapping this up, sticking it on a square base and using it in games of the old world and everything like that as well. You get a couple of different options with the kit too. So
more skulls, less skulls.
Yeah. So you've got the full cloak down the back with a couple of skulls on it, or as you say, you can have the trophy rack hanging down the side as well, which I think is quite nice.
It's getting a bit skull takerish.
At that point, yeah. But
you could hang it between his horns though.
It's working towards that promotion.
Yeah. In game, he is a leader killer, so he has the axe that you can see there called a Kingslayer, and you would imagine that he goes out looking to hunt down characters to kill them because they have the best heads and they look nice on that.
So he is aiming for the Employee of the Month award.
Yes. He's also, I love the design of the shield, which kind of puts me in mind of Lurtz from Lord of the Rings, where he's using that as a weapon to stab someone against something and then chop their head off. It's perfectly designed to fit around somebody's neck. I think it's a really nice touch. So it'll be fun to see what people do with the painting of this guy. I imagine
somebody's going to paint that like a skull, Punisher styley on his face.
That'd be cool. Like proper,
calling it now,
like spread out paint style affair on there.
Yes,
that'd be cool.
Or maybe you just go for the Lurch style, dodgy white paint job, where it's just like very. Very finger painted on skull.
Also, a lot of people was going down the route of doing this with as red armor. Kind of makes sense when you're doing it with Khorne. I'd love to see someone do it in black armor. I think would be a really nice touch with sort of silver and bronze to represent the Khornate symbols, but with black as the sort of standard look for the armor. I think it'd be quite a nice way to go.
Yeah. You never think about how much work goes into enameling Khornate armor.
I know. Yeah. It's a lot of work for all the bloodshed. So, and then when they die,
I'll assume a wizard did it.
Yeah, that's probably a good way of doing it. He is the new figure, although of course there will be a new Spearhead box set that's coming out alongside the release of the Battletome, which we'll get a look at in a second as well. This is, for those people who aren't aware, Spearhead is their sort of quick sort of entry level game for Warhammer Age of Sigmar, which is a game in of itself and it's actually really good fun. Definitely worth playing if you want to give it a shot and try out different factions rather than throwing your lot on with one and sort of buying up to 2,000 points and all that kind of stuff. This one is called The Fangs of the Blood God and will include a lot of fleshhounds. So you get 2 packs of them alongside Karanak at the front, who is the 3-headed dog.
Beast of Marth.
Who a lot of people will know from sort of Warhammer of the past. And in the center of that set, you also get the Claws of Karanak, who were a Warcry warband. That Warcry rather than Underworld's warband that have been sort of thrown into this set. Warcry is now very much online only and probably going the way of the Dodo, and we've seen quite a lot of Spearhead sets coming up that have these Warcry warbands included as part of them.
Got to sweat that asset.
Yeah, definitely sort of making use of those. But if you're looking for a very thematic take on the Blades of Khorne that sort of shoos away from the idea of it just all being guys in armor running forward, this is quite a fun little set, and it will have its own rules and everything else baked into the new battle tome, as well as being free online, as they make all the Spearhead rules online for free, alongside the core rules and everything as well. So yes, you'll also get the book, as you can see there, with the new artwork on it as well. Will come with everything you need to know about the Blades of Khorne in the new edition.
But we're afraid to ask. Of
Warhammer Age of Sigmar, yeah. And a nice mixture of stuff in there for those people who want to go down the mortal route, or if you want to throw in demons, you can go down that direction as well. Or you could just mix and match and take it in that direction if you prefer. I have a fairly large army of bloodletters already, so it'll be fun to see if I can get my hands on this and sort of convert them over from 40k into
what's that?
I think that's a bloodletter banner.
Yes,
that they have
somebody in the visuals department has made a boo boo.
Yeah, they forgot to properly Photoshop that out in the corner, I think. But yeah, but yes,
I'm so curious now.
It's probably part of a larger picture from the battle tome, I would imagine, that comes over to maybe pages.
A double page spread and they've cropped. But this tail got in the way. It's like, we've got to leave that in because we've got that tail.
God damn it.
Photoshop Shift F5.
Yeah. But yeah, so some nice stuff there for the Blades of Khorne. So if you're looking to build up a fun army for Age of Sigmar, you've got some nice options there. I will say, if you're looking to dive into Warhammer, be it in 40k or in Age of Sigmar, and you just want a really piss-easy army to play, Khorne is great, because you just run forward and you hack things to pieces, and they are really fun because you can just be like, well, I'm just role-playing my army, just charge forward and kill everything. What should my unit do this turn? Should it hold this objective? No! Charge the enemy, chop their heads off. What would Khorne do? That should be your epitaph that you live by.
What?
And then if you don't shout blood for the blood god every turn, and then skull thrown at the end of every turn, you're not doing it properly.
Skull taker, take the wheel.
So in other words, at the beginning of each round, you basically have to chug an energy drink to get your, hype up to the level required.
For like thematic. So it's going to be like cherries or strawberries or something. But,
BPM.
BPM, pink juice.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the way to go. Right. I think that's sufficient news for a week, don't you?
Yes.
We'll have a wee swish. When we come back, we'll round out the show with a couple of Kickstarters.
Did you win one of our prizes? Find out on our prize claim center over at OnTableTop.com. Here we list all our previous prizes and those who have won. If you see your username, fill out the form to claim your prize. All prizes must be claimed within 30 days.
All right, then. Our first Kickstarter campaign comes courtesy of Wayland and StudioLevel with their Trench Ark. Perfect for Trench Crusade.
It looks gorgeous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've backed a few of StudioLevel's previous iterations. This is a guy in Poland who does sort of bespoke tabletop design. So they would make one-off buildings and that sort of thing. And previously I got Petrol Yard for The Walking Dead, funnily enough, which is a post-apocalyptic range of buildings and stuff where he would sculpt them and then he pressure cast them in resin. Doing something similar here, sculpted this gorgeous-looking set of trenchy, crusade-y boardies. So you've got like a modular Trench Crusade, and then you've got set-on pieces, including buildings and statues and incidental pieces. And then there's a group of people who do 3D scanning near him, and they decided to 3D scan the actual board. Now, because of the way it works, the board that he's made and then 3D scanned can't be replicated perfectly because there are things you can do when you're actually handcrafting that you can't get. All of the nooks and crannies aren't picked up, so the 3D scan then has to be gone in and tinkered with to make it printable and actual, remove the cavities and whatever else that they don't actually pick up the 100% of the detail. But this gives you an idea of what they're aiming to produce. That will be available as either STL files or as a actual printed FDM components. So you can pick up the board, you can pick up the buildings, and then you can pick up the pieces, the statuary or whatever else that happens to be, or you can get all of said combined in, like I say, either STL or physical form. Vape not included. You'll have to supply your own John or Justin for that. But really nice looking set of stuff. Like I say, the plan with this is to have essentially, I think they're 2-foot squares.
Yes.
But the way the STLs are going to be provided is they will have them cut or cropped down depending on build plate size. So they're looking at the standard, regular and large build plates that people have in home printing. So I think it's like 15 centimeter build plate and 8 centimeter. Is that the two? Whatever they are. So if you get the 2-foot board, you'll be able to go, well, I've got this size of build plate, therefore that's the STL set I need. So you shouldn't have to go in and cut them yourself in things like Blender.
Yeah,
instead, you'll just be able to get the individual pieces and then print them out and wing them all together. But the care and attention he lavishes into any of his buildings is really nice. I mean, the petrol yard stuff that he did previously is absolutely gorgeous. You can see you can get a little sample set as well. So the process is just really going to be about them translating his physical handcrafted stuff into the digital realm. Now, I watched some videos on this. I think it was Tron and Tron Legacy, and it looks very easy, but the laser's massive. Well, digitizing seems very, very simple indeed.
Are they finally doing the third in that one now?
They are doing the third of that, yes. With music by Trent Reznor and Atticus Finch. So can't wait for that soundtrack. That's going to be absolutely banging. But yeah, you can see here the handcrafted to 3D scan and then test printing and then fixing. So this is the sort of nonsense that they have to do in converting it into the ones and zeros to make sure that what they have is actually artifact free and printable for people at home. So yeah, it's a really nice little campaign where I like his stuff, love it. I love the resin casting. It's obviously labor intensive and time consuming and therefore takes a while. The fact that he can now go to somebody and start doing these as STL scans and prints is really nice because it'll open it up for a lot more people, I imagine. I'm going to go out there and say there's probably tons of people. You can see here SLA and then the original handcrafted one. So slight changes, bits removed, things like the overhead speakers dropped off and stuff like that to just make it printable. But there will people would look at it and go, well, I'm not ordering 25 kilos of resin from Poland for some reason. People are like that. I don't know why. But what they will do is buy the STLs and print them at home. And I'm 100% on board for this, especially we want you to Desfield. Well, shame Lloyd's not here. He could start a little crusade. But yeah, so the pledges are, like I say, board set on pieces and then extravagant parts. And you can see there's the 2-foot square building and then your various sort of subdivisions. So that's for
it does look like it's reasonably modular for linking stuff up.
Bamboo lab.
Yeah, so you get a lot of play out of your trench sections, which is always good. So
and I mean that's part and parcel of why I like the sort of handcrafted stuff, because you can do it in STL, but I'm assuming adding every individual little bit of ballast and things like that that you would get when you're making something physically is so time consuming that they can't be arsed, which is why a lot of STL terrain generally has sort of semi-bubbly mud on the ground, because you're not going to put on 150 million little tiny pieces of ballast. However, when you're building it yourself and you just happen to be using railway ballast or sand, you get all that texture and then
that true random look
up by the scan. Even if you're just picking up, I mean, that building he set there is quite nice. What's that? The Warden set. Archivist is everything. So €127 for all of the STLs, including anything that gets unlocked, is in there. If you are getting it printed by them and sent out to you, it can be somewhat pricey, but it's one of those things.
You're paying for the handcrafted stuff and all the effort that's gone into it as well. If you're paying for it to be resin cast, it would be the same. So I don't particularly begrudge the fact that it's going to be pricey.
That's the old thing. You get what you pay for.
Yeah. And I do like I say, I love his work. The intricacies and details he puts into a lot of the building is absolutely gorgeous.
Beautiful.
So yes, if you're getting into your trenchy crusades, then this might be an ideal way to not just get gaming, but actually get a game board that you can play on. Look at the dancing terrain, spin, terrain, spin.
Yeah, this is what I was saying about that modularity.
Yeah.
Yes. So happy days. If you want to put together a 4x4, you can, and be super modular about it. And if you've already got a board that you're playing on, then getting some set-on pieces that you can print out, whether it's the creepy crosses or the weird smashed-up buildings, they're all in there. So hopefully this goes gangbusters. It is already funded. And there's 18 days left, I think, on it.
Good.
So if you're interested in your trenching and crusadings, then good to go for that. And if you happen to be anywhere in the OO and you're looking stuff built, they take commissions as well. So, if you're looking a load of hills or trees made, they do that. If you want something more bespoke and right up there, they do that as well. But definitely want to check out. I really should paint my Walking Dead terrain. Really should find where I've put my Walking Dead.
It's buried somewhere in the Aladdin's cave.
It is definitely somewhere. Right. We've got another campaign.
We do.
And it is terrain. We're very terrain heavy. I like that. It's good.
Yeah.
Good times.
So following on from that stuff, we have some more 3D printable elements that you can snap up and
printable
use
elephant
on your tabletop. This time for either medieval or fantasy wargaming. This comes from Grimskald, who people will know for doing Torch and Shield and stuff like that. A great company. They are bringing a range of terrain to the tabletop now with this Kickstarter, which is for their medieval city walls. So this sort of breaks down into the Bulwark, essentially, which is their sort of medieval fantasy town setup that you can use that will span the edge of your board, or you could use it to sort of encompass your board if you wanted to as well, because obviously this is all 3D printable, so you can make the whole city if you really wanted. I think it'd be really fun.
See where you're going.
It comes with a bunch of different components in the set for you to build a modular city sort of outskirts effectively. So you get the likes of the gatehouse, the walls, you get square towers and round ones, because of course when it comes to building over here in Europe or in England or whatever, nobody stuck to the brief. They just sort of built whatever the hell they wanted.
Wait, you got a brief?
There was a lot of expansion at random times as well. So
this king wanted round walls. This one wanted
things go out of fashion,
walls,
and all of a sudden you've got to try and squeeze another 12 foot of round.
No octagonal ones though.
No. You also get things like the hoardings that you see there that you can sit on top of the wall sections and roofs, so you can give yourself some extra protection from archer fire and all sorts of other things coming in. And also you get sort of a range of extras sort of included in there too, for you to sort of add a little bit more character to your building sections.
Don't trip.
What's really nice about it is that it's very modular, so you can mix and match things as you see fit. Say, for example, you're building up a tabletop to use for, I don't know, Guards of Traitor's Toll, which we've mentioned already in the show. You could build one section of the city using some of the wall components, and then you could be like, right, now we're going to move it to the east side, and then you can sort of take down those walls, build them in different configurations.
Head sort of north to the posher part of town.
Exactly, yeah. Where maybe you don't have the hoardings on because they don't need to, have archers watching over the walls and all that kind of thing, waiting to pour oil down on folks and all that kind of stuff.
These wall sections are all like complete undamaged. I wonder if we'll maybe see some damaged ones for this set come along.
Possibly coming down in the future. That could be fun to see. But yeah, essentially, if you're looking to build a proper nice castle section for using your tabletop, because everybody wants to run a siege at some point in their wargaming career, and I think this would be a pretty nice option.
It's got a very similar layout to Carrickfergus.
There you go.
As far as the
maybe
weird
it's used
angles.
inspiration. Who knows? But yeah, as you can see, because it's sort of modular, I think you can have a lot of fun with this. And there's plenty of scope for you to kind of build it in different configurations, as we've already seen, and sort of play around with it in different styles. Fantasify it as much as you like. That's a new word. Cover it in banners and all that kind of thing, add magnets in and that kind of stuff if you really wanted to kind of like make it so that you could sort of pop it together nice and quickly and sort of keeps its shape while you're playing. That's good fun as well.
I really like how they've done the hoardings.
Yeah, the hoardings are a really nice little clip-on type affair at the top.
The fact they're not permanent.
Mm-hmm.
You can take them on, store them away.
They look like they'll actually sit once you put them on.
Yeah. Which is really good.
A nice big wooden staircase.
Mm-hmm.
That
running up and down as well.
His way up.
And if you are looking for a few extras, you can also get yourself the Dark Ritual Forest set that you see there. So maybe your castle or your city, you're sitting on the edge of a dark and foreboding wood where creepy crawlies are running out of it every night to attack your settlement.
I wonder if I could build it in reverse so it's the walls are looking inward to like a demonic god's wood.
There you go. Yeah, you could do that easily enough. Yeah, perfectly. But yeah, just a fun little one as an addition to what we were looking at. So obviously wanted to have some more terrain in here for people to get their hands on.
Yeah.
As I say, all available as STL files and that kind of thing. So if you're looking to get your hands on this, you can do. Print it off at home and have at it.
I like the fact it's built on bedrock, sort of.
You get the Harlech look if you know that castle in Wales. So,
Did you ever see Fred Dibner visiting that?
No, I didn't.
Oh, he does a great piece about it.
But I have visited it, and as someone who's afraid of heights, it's like Castle Plus. So I was already worried when I got to the top of the hill, and I was looking out at the edge of it, and then I climbed to the top of the tower.
Drop.
Oh no!
I was like, oh my god!
Then I remember you in the glass box in the Sears Tower in Chicago, and then I jumped.
Asshole.
he about shit himself.
This is why we drop spiders on you when you're asleep, Jeff.
Yeah, I know. I've earned it. I know I've earned it.
26 days
26 days left on that one. Yeah.
Cool.
And I'd already funded because it was very low funding goal for that. So you can crack in and get your fantasy/medieval buildings, populate it with Medbury miniatures, then put beggars all around the walls on the bottom,
it's all
tiny
connected.
furniture.
Yeah.
Everything in the show goes together to make the world's most impressive medieval trench crusade board ever, defended by the rebels from Blake 7.
That's a crooked dice game in the
interwoven there, isn't it?
So,
yeah, very much so. I mean, to be brutally honest, Castleys do it, but there's a lot. It's very Doctor Who-esque and stuff appearing here, there, and everywhere because it's however far they can travel in a day from London. That's how that gets filmed. Right. I think that wraps us up for another week.
Yes.
Don't forget to comment below if you want a chance to win a voucher. We should be back again next Friday or Sunday morning over at OnTableTop.com for our XLBS Cult of Games show. If you're not already a cultist, you can join us for a 30-day trial. See what it's like, kick the tires, poke around the back end, see what people are painting from Temu. Until then, have a great week of gaming. Bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.